that happens when you got a million details going on, and you got yourself in the middle of a conflict that you never expected to get yourself involved in the process. So, cultural stuff. Folks, I know most of you have read the sort of the foundational trilogy by Francis Schaeffer. I'm rereading it just for my own benefit. I read them back in the 90s. Escape from Reason, the God who he is there and he is not silent, the God who is there. May I recommend them yet once again for a rather cerebral review of why we see our culture absolutely flying apart. The seams, you know, all the thread has been cut out of the seams. And so, you know, if you throw a baseball and you've cut all the threads out of the seams, when that baseball gets hit, it's just simply going to explode. It's going to fall apart because it's not held together by anything that makes sense anymore. And what we're seeing, and it's because we've not experienced it in the United States. They have experienced it elsewhere, and that's why a lot of people who've come to the United States from other nations are going, "What are you people doing?" But no one's listening to them. Is not a march, but now a run toward totalitarianism. That's what we've got going on, is a run toward totalitarianism. And people don't know what totalitarianism is, but a totalitarian, totality, the government controls the entire expression of human life. And so what you think, what you believe, how you speak, how you dress, how you act, how you eat, the government controls it all. That's what this nation is moving toward. And it's moving toward it at an incredible speed. And if you want to see this happening, go to California. Look at the totalitarians, the socialist, secularist totalitarians who are in charge in Sacramento. We used to call them nutcases, but now they're in charge. And they have willing allies in the young people of this nation who want to be ruled. They want the government to tell them everything. Now, they don't realize what that's going to look like yet. It's too late before you find out. But that's what's coming. And these folks, well, the one article, Christian Mingle must include gays, judge rules. Did you see this? Just a couple days ago, ChristianMingle.com, an online platform for single Christians seeking relationships, must accommodate gay users, a California judge ruled. Now, what we need to understand is none of the founding fathers ever had the idea that the judiciary would function the way it functions now. These people are little gods in robes. At least they think they are. They're an oligarchy. And they rule over all the rest of us. They know what's best for all the rest of us. There's no longer a meaningful limit on their power. And so 2 gay men in California brought a lawsuit against Christian Mingle's parent company, Spark Network, which also administers CatholicMingle.com, AdventistSinglesConnection.com, BlackSingles.com, and a mobile application, CrossPaths. They allege the site's failure to accommodate gay users violated the Unruh Civil Rights Act, a state anti-discrimination law. Christian Mingle only includes man-seeking woman and woman-seeking man options for users, but does not include alternatives for users seeking members of the same sex. Well, how about man-seeking German Shepherd? Is that next? It better be, logically. Man-seeking tree. It's all going to have to be there eventually, because this worldview that has taken over, that these people are forcing upon us, has no foundation. That's what's coming. That's what's coming. These people are totalitarians. There is no such thing as religious liberty. There is no such thing as freedom of thought. You must think like them, act like them. They will tell you everything. These are totalitarians, and they're all around us. And most Americans are just sitting around going, well, you know, hey, as long as it doesn't affect me. Well, you don't seem to understand that you may go along with the majority a long ways, but you need to realize those bumper stickers that say the bigger the government, the smaller the citizen, are absolutely true. And once you have a government that controls everything, you are nothing. There is no such thing as individual liberty. There's no such thing as individual responsibility. You are whatever the government says you are. And it was only a few stinking decades ago that this kind of stuff existed behind the Iron Curtain. And this nation and its leaders were instrumental in bringing that curtain down. And funny, pretty much since that time, we've been running toward putting it back up, except we're on the inside of it. We've forgotten history. And you join this together with the Supreme Court not even taking the case. I mean, the Supreme Court's done, folks. It doesn't matter who's elected. The Supreme Court is finished. It's done. And since that is now the means of determining the society in which we live, as far as I can see, the constitutional republic form of government in the United States is finished. It's done. And this is July 4th that I'm saying this on, but I said this last year. I reposted something I wrote last year on Facebook. The Constitution's meaningless. If the words in it don't mean what the authors intended, it's meaningless. And now that the Supreme Court is just filled with ideologues who could care less what the Constitution is, it's done. I don't know what kind of government's going to take its place, but I posted a thing with Benjamin Franklin saying, "So, a republic, if you can keep it." And then there's a picture of Trump and Clinton, and then Franklin saying, "I'll take that as a no." It was perfect. I don't know who made it, but it was perfectly done. I think libertarians made it. It was perfectly done. Neither one of them, in my humble opinion, is capable of maintaining a republic. Neither one of them. And I personally think this is going to be one of the most lopsided elections in American history. I really do. I think Dukakis will have done better than one of the two people in this particular election. Anyway, so it's coming, folks, and these folks don't care about religious liberty. They will banish it faster than, and all under the idea of bigotry, hate laws, all the rest of this stuff. That which is evil will be called good, and that which is good will be called evil, and that's where we're going to be. And we've got choices to make. Do you stay and be a prophetic voice, or where do you go? I mean, leaving is a biblical possibility. I mean, Jesus said, flee in the mountains. They persecute you here, flee in the mountains. Fleeing is not something that's wrong biblically. But where do you go? Almost every part of the West, this is the issue that you're facing. I don't know. All I know is this is coming so fast, and I don't want to use movie titles, but Fast and Furious, and these people they are furious. God is just removing his hand of restraint, and we are seeing how people hate the gospel, and they hate God's law, and they're self-destructive. I mean, all these behaviors are self-destructive behaviors. I suppose we could just hunker down and survive it because, I mean, the way these people are going, they ain't going to be having any kids. But, of course, they're going to take ours. That's the whole thing. They don't want to have to go through that messiness themselves. They'll just take ours. And that's what they want to do. No two ways about it. So what we're watching, if you that's why I say, I've recommended books, non-Christian books, that are almost prophetic. It was last summer, while I was doing the drive I'm going to be doing for the next few weeks. It was last summer that I listened to Brave New World. Again, I had read it back in high school. Everybody back in high school had to read Brave New World, back when I was young. And 1984. I recommend those to people because they are such graphic prophecies of what we're seeing being fulfilled right now. Even though I had a millennial on Twitter go, I read it, I don't see any parallel. And I'm just sort of like, oh, okay, well, here's the public education system for you. But other books, and like I have them in the other room, but I think Crossway owns Schaeffer's stuff, if I recall correctly. And they have a 5-volume it looks like a rainbow flag, unfortunately. I mean, I love the rainbow, but it's been stolen too, just like Eucharisteo has been stolen from us. But 5-volume hardback of Shaffers Works. And the first volume contains, No, 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 no. One of them that you need is at a later, the Christian Manifesto is in one of the later volumes. But if I recall correctly, that first volume is the one that has the God who is there, escape from reason, and he is there and he is not silent. You can get them obviously in the singles, but they're available. And if I recall correctly, there's also a hardback of those books, the three of them together, that I think I've seen. I'm not 100% certain on that. Anyway, if you want to read some good, meaningful Christian stuff that's going to help you to understand the fundamental reasons. Dated? Well, yeah. I mean, if you wanted more up-to-date examples and stuff, sure. But if you want a foundation to be able to interpret this stuff, I highly, highly recommend them to you. Anything has to be read with discernment, obviously, but good stuff, good stuff. And it'll at least help you to understand what we see around us and why once you abandon the Christian worldview that made sense to our laws, our ethics, our morality, science, art, everything. Once you abandon that, you got nothing to put in its place. It's up to every single individual. It's just all a bunch of particulars. There's no unifying principle. And it all just like that baseball where you snip out all the threads and then you throw it toward that batter. He ain't going to get a home run with it. It's just going to explode when he hits it because there's nothing to hold it all together once that impact takes place. And that's what's happening around us. The explosion of a culture that had been blessed and is now being cursed. And that's what's going on. That's what's going on. So, if you go on YouTube right now, yeah, Alfonso says, don't go to Mexico. I'm not thinking about going to Mexico. Sorry. If someone has some serious suggestions where liberty might plant itself, I'd be interested.
I think the one word is Belize.
You know, that's the one word I keep hearing too.
Yep, Belize.
We may need to look into a church planting mission.
Yeah, really. Then again, we may find ourselves down there in a corner and the rest of the world now coming at us, you know, because that could be the last
outpost. Yeah. I know. It is an amazing thing. Most people just want to stick their fingers in their ears and go, it's all going to be fine. Trump will save us. Right. Okay. If you just go to YouTube and look me up these days, a lot more videos about me than there used to be. It's been less than 2 weeks. It's been less than 2 weeks since I ventured into the Black Hebrew Israelite arena. I did so for the transparently obvious reason that I had listened to a dialogue, including Vocab Malone, and the man who was lecturing him in a rather condescending fashion had made statements that I know, historically and biblically, are utterly indefensible. Utterly indefensible. And so I just put out on social media, I'd like to get in touch and would like to talk about this, and that led to that first conversation 12 days ago with Elder Akah of the GOCC. Well, that got a lot of attention, but then having Vocab on the next week, and then the next day doing the debate, wow. And I'm just looking here on YouTube. Some of these are people reposting stuff that I've posted. And you know what? I don't care. To be honest with you, on this right now, what I'm encouraged by is the little bit that we've done. This is a little bit. The little bit we've done is getting all over the place to all of the BHI groups. And what's amazing is even when they attack me, they include what I'm saying. And so, you got this up?
Yeah, well, I got a green screen.
Right, it's a green screen at the start. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't honestly remember if there's any profanity in this.
We don't have a dump.
And we don't have a bleep button. There's no time delay here.
So get the kids out of the room.
Yeah, so I'm just warning you. But I'll only play the beginning and then we start. But this is what actually I have to rejoice in, despite the fact, I mean, the vitriolic, visceral, racist hatred being expressed toward me. Never experienced anything like it in my life. I knew there were people who lived this way, but I really haven't had much interaction with them. And, when some people tell me that there's no such thing as black racism, I just want to go, really? What rock do you live under? Wow. These folks are incredible. They really, really are incredible. And it's just sad to think about what their lives are like. I mean, to see the conjunction of visceral hatred based upon race with religion. The result is the ugliest thing you could ever have. It's one thing to have a secular racist, who's just racist because they're racist.